Yo, bro, let me explain something to you, son.
Okay.
Before we even get officially started
Sure.
with the interview, man, let's just get right into it.
Okay.
Like, I need you to know, and I need you to understand your greatness. You know how everybody talk about like giving each other their flowers and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm about to give you yours, and you're gonna get yours every time you see me and talk to me.
I love
Yo,
it.
Adam, let me tell you something, right? From seeing you on stage at PlayStation doing your thing, from seeing you move over to Iron Galaxy, studios, working with the great Chelsea, you know what I'm saying, Chelsea Blasco, and being that being that arm to help get games to the finish line. You know what I'm saying? When they really need you in that clutch moment to secure the bag and make sure the game not just works, but it ships. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
From starting a brand new company and never giving up on your dreams, never getting jaded, in the industry, always keeping that passion. Vivrato, you talk about what it means to live and the sound, and also creating something that has hope,
Yeah.
and you're designing something specifically for the industry and the people that you love. Your level of discipline and humility, bro, in terms of what you've given to the industry to make people like myself and all of us just have a great time and escape the day to day that could be problematic sometimes, bro. You are beyond a champion. You a hero in my life, in my eyes, in my heart, in my spirit. I love you, bro. We love you, bro. We honor you and we thank you. Adam, you are one of the GOATs, bro, in our
Dude.
industry, man. I love you. That's how we said it off the interview, bro. I love you, bro. Period,
I love
man.
you too, man. That is one of the
Period.
nicest things anyone's ever said to me, man. I really I'm touched. It's funny because when I started, it was like you just want to put good back into the world, and you try every day. And I really appreciate being seen, because I think you're absolutely right that we have to do that. We have to give people their flowers, and we have to, big up to the people that we love and care about. And I appreciate your sentiment, man. It means a lot.
Bro,
It's a great way to start kick this shit off.
yeah, facts, man. You already know what it is, man. So look, y'all rocking with the GOAT of the game, HipHopGamer. On that note, we gotta spin the chain for my brother Big Adam. You know what I'm saying? It's going down. Now look, let's open it up like this, bro. Like, what was the moment? Like, where was you at? Where was you sitting at? Was you eating? Was you playing the game? What sparked that moment where you was like, you know what? This is an idea, but I can't sit on it any longer. Like, I gotta do this. I gotta do something. What was that moment? What did you see? What made you say, you know what, Vivrato, we gotta do it? Talk to me, bro.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It actually didn't start like that. It was kind of a weird order of operations, because I have this disease where every 4 years in my life, every 4 years, my little spirit animal awakes and says, "You need to do something new." If you actually think
Wow.
about it, right? My whole career, Midway 4 years, EA 4 years, Capcom 4 years, PlayStation 4 years. Every single chapter of my career has been 4 years. Iron Galaxy was 8 years, and I think we hit that
Wow.
because it hit the 4 year point, and I think my spirit animal got COVID, and so did we, and
Ah!
so and,
Yo,
and
that's
so
crazy. That is crazy, bro.
so it added another 4 years and it made it 8 years. But basically, when that spirit animal awakens, it's in my gut. It's a strange feeling I get where it's like, hey, it's time to go on a new adventure. So I actually decided to go on a new adventure first. And then I was like, okay, what can I do? Should I make a little cozy game that I want to make, or a factory game,
Mm,
or start a publisher? And actually, it's a great question, because I started asking people what the number one problem was facing the games industry, which is a
right.
pretty deep question.
Right.
But then the first couple people that answered it, they're like, it's this thing, or it's that thing. And then I asked like the fifth person, they're like, it's something different. And I had 5 different answers. And then I had 10 different
Wow.
answers. And then I had 20 different answers. And it started breaking my brain, because I'm like, the more people I asked, the more different answers I got. And everyone, when you
Mm.
ask someone a question, you're like, best hip hop album of all time, right? There's usually going to
Yeah.
be probably 15 different answers, or maybe 20. But like if you ask 100 people, but it's like a smaller list. Dude, I asked 250 different executives and leaders in the industry. I got 123 different answers. So what that showed me, I know, right? So what that showed, imagine that. Imagine people listing 123 different hip hop albums, right? So when you look at that, you go, okay, we're not on the same page. So if we're not on the same page, how do we get on the same page, right? So it went back to let's look at the list. And what I did is actually compiled it. I made this deck of cards, which is the top 52 problems in the video games industry.
Oh,
And,
that's fire, son.
yeah.
That's crazy,
And that was all
bro.
the, like, you know, it's from misuse codevs. You know, there's all kinds of different problems, right?
This is genius, bro.
And it's all the different issues, right, that I think our industry's facing. Not all of them. I mean, there's so many that are facing it. But the idea was, like, if we can't put our arms around the problem set, how can we start to sort of like unpack it? And that was the aha moment. I was like,
wow,
we are every headline, and we see it every day. Every headline's like, industry's dying, and it's the last time ever, and it's just negativity. And I'm just like, we're just sitting here as victims. We're not victims, man. We love the game. We love the industry. We gotta stand up and stand together. And that was the inspiration for Vivrato. And the name even, comes from vivere, was the Latin root to live, and vibrato, which is making sound more resonant and stronger. So, like, when you think about living more strongly, this industry needs to live more strongly. Absolutely. And I don't think we're victims. I think we can solve these things if we work together. So that was the vision for it. And that was why I was like, I'm going to start a consultancy where I can work with any studio around the world, or any publisher around the world, or venture capital or private equity, and just help us understand each other more and get a more deeper connection and relationship in our industry.
Bro, I'm going to tell you something right now, right? One of the things I got to ask you, because my interviews is different. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
When you on the HipHopGamer interview is different. So check this out, right? In one of your cards in the deck, right, is one of the problems in the industry, one of those 123 that you received, was discovery of your video game as a developer. Is one of them discovery of your video game? I just want to know if I'm right.
Okay, hold on. Okay. I'm looking for it. There's a couple that are kind of, so here's three that sort of are like that.
Wow, three.
Yeah, okay. So one is ignoring the little guys.
Okay.
So, like, how do you find them? Great games sometimes drop with zero fanfare, so invisible launches. This is about discoverability. Like, what if a great game comes out and people can't find it? Okay. And another one was like when everything drops at the same time, right? Here's one that's crowded battlefield, right? So that's like when everything's dropping in the same quarter or the same month. So wow, absolutely, yeah. Discoverability, actually, you have such a dude. I've always known you've got a good nose for this shit, but I think when I just ask and I look back in hindsight, it's one of the biggest issues is how do we find people that like our game and how do we bring them together? If I think back in the day, in the 90s and 2000s, like, there was only 7 websites you could go to find out where to find games. And I felt like it was like, imagine a golden retriever, right? Back in the day, gamers were like dogs where you just put little treats in front of them, they follow the treats, and then they get to the big bowl of food. Nowadays, man, everyone's like a mosquito, right? They're, who knows where they are? Are they on TikTok? Are they on Reels? Are they on Shorts? So we have to attract them some way. So it's a lot different now to attract players to an ecosystem. So it's like trying to attract a mosquito versus a dog that's got a very predictable path.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, this what's about to happen. Everybody, the audience, everybody, what is about to happen has never happened before in an Adam Boys interview. So I'm gonna tell you something right now. I'm gonna take y'all back to when my brother Adam Boys and my other brother Shuhei, when they had that moment when they said, this is how you share a game. Boom. Like, simple like that, right? Yeah. So I'm about to do another moment that I think is going to be. So I have a question for you, and then we about to do something and demonstrate something. Okay. And I believe that this is the answer to probably 75% of that deck of cards. Okay. All right. So, have you ever heard of a company called Ludeo?
I have heard of it.
Okay. You've heard of Ludeo.
Yeah.
So, Ludeo, big time. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about it real quick because I believe what Ludeo is and what Vivrato does is a match. So, watch this.
Yeah.
Yo, what I want you to do, I just sent you a text, Adam.
Okay.
I just text you.
All right.
What I would love for you to do is click the link I just text you and then turn your phone sideways.
Okay. All right. Let me see where. Did you text me for sure, or did you email it to me?
Nah, I text you, bro. I
What?
just text you.
Is it an old number?
I hope it's not. Does it end with a 4? I'll just leave it like that.
Yes, it does end with a 4.
Okay, so I just text you.
Okay, let me see. All right, let me see.
If you didn't get it, I'll email it if it's better.
Yeah, I think email would be better. Let's do email.
Okay, so I love my interviews is the best. I'm telling you. All right, so like I'm gonna email you
Sure.
right now,
Okay,
son.
press the button, and I'll be playing Hitman like nobody's business.
Something else.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's go.
I want
Let's
to see
go.
if I'm playing Assassin's Creed Shadows. What am I playing?
So I'm
Always a surprise.
You know what I'm saying? You know it. So I'm gonna send you something right now. Hold up a second. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I just emailed.
Oh, there's
it to you,
okay.
bro.
Now the text did come through. There we
the
go.
text did come through. All right, cool. All right, so you go through the text.
All right,
So
I'm
click
going
that.
through the text. Okay, I'm looking at my phone.
Yeah, look at your phone. Click the
Okay.
link, and then turn your phone sideways.
Turn my phone sideways. Okay. Start game.
Yep.
Okay. It's loading.
Yep. And play it a little bit, and then show it to the audience when you get a chance.
Okay. It's loading. Press any key to play.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now show it to the audience a little bit, like if you get a chance, just so they can see like the remainder. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving around.
Yep.
Playing the game. And that was just a link. That's cool. Well, I'll turn it down so we can talk while I play. Now I gotta finish the level or what?
So what just
only 368 points on my score. Sorry.
So what just took place is the fact that I literally just sent you a text that you can play. Or I could send you an email that you can play. Or so if you go to YouTube and watch videos, you can go to Ludeo and play games. So every game company, especially the indies, that's trying to find a way to get seen and stuff like that. I'm looking at games like Mouse PI for Hire that they be showing that, Tenet of the Spark, Painkiller from Saber Interactive, all these great games. I'm seeing all these videos, and I'm like, I just wish I could play the video. Like, I just
wish Schedule 1, man. Schedule 1. I want to try that recipe. I want to get that.
Bro, I want to play the game. Every time I see it, I want to play these games. And Ludeo did it, and it blew my mind. So when I was reading up on your company and literally the theme and the ethos of your entire company, I was like, this is one of the answers to what you're doing. So my question is, what is your thoughts on what you just experienced in terms of me texting you a game and you getting right into the action of a game? And even though there's a time limit that you can set, you could literally now create your own Ludeos, like how you upload YouTube videos and have user-generated demos. Because what you just played was based off my stream that I played yesterday. I was streaming Redacted yesterday, and you're playing my gameplay.
Really?
Yes. What I like, you know how when you play in the game and you save a clip?
Yeah, sure.
That was my highlight that I saved, but you can play my highlight the way you want to play it.
Right. I think it's cool. Yeah, no.
What's your thoughts on it? Talk to me.
Yeah,
and
what
how
I love
think
about
this
it
can help, with Vivrato.
Yeah, well, I think the discoverability part of it is absolutely like if you can just text your friend a link to something, I think that's because to me it's so much about your social network and how many people are playing things and telling you about things. A lot of times, like I watched my kids. I won't talk about the game, but my my son was trying to play a game with 9 other players on a server, and it was like 3 hours to try to set it up. And you got to go here and you got to do this. So the fact that you can just send a link and have it sort of click and go, I think that part, I think accessibility is super critical for the viral generation and the next generation of like playing things quickly together.
Absolutely. And I was blown away because you ever had those conversations where it's like, I wish something could this, or if you see a product and it's marketed to be something, but then when you get it, it's not exactly what it was marketed to be. This is something that like 100% was exactly what it said it was. And I was blown away. And I wanted to share that with you today because I think your company and what that software did just answered so much. So now I want to move on,
Sure.
because what I believe you're doing is setting a standard on how we all should see the industry as a
Yeah.
collective. So my question to you is, what's next for Vivrato? You got the company now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's up and running.
Yeah.
So I know you was at Dice and all this other stuff. I think you went to
Yeah.
GDC. I didn't get a chance
Yeah.
to, like, see
Yeah,
you
I
and
know.
everything.
I know
but
we're always, every time I'm like, you got an
I know.
entourage. I'm like, I can't even get past the bodyguards.
Yo, it's crazy. Yo, we be moving, man. Things is different.
I know
now.
you're always moving, always
So-
wheeling and dealing, right? Spinning
Facts. It's funny you said wheeling and dealing because Ric Flair just joined the company Global Gaming League that we are
No
part of
way.
with
That's
T-Pain
awesome.
and Clinton Sparks and all of
That's
us.
so cool.
So Ric Flair's with us now. So that's so funny you said
That's
wheeling and
amazing.
dealing. Woo! All right, let's get
Woo!
to the next joint. So my thing is, Adam, is now that you have this up and running,
Yeah.
no matter what your vision is, we all, like, everybody still needs help and everybody
Yeah.
still has goals. What's
Yeah.
your goal for at least this year going into next, and what help can we do, like, to be
Yeah.
of service to you and your company, and the importance of making sure the industry continues to grow correctly?
Yeah, I think the first part is, I'm sort of been figuring out what the problem set is, and then how do we attack it, right? And I think with the website, you see a bunch of the advisory network that we're working with. They're really
Right.
incredible people from amazing backgrounds. But really, honestly, the mission for this year is like the saying on the top of this. So when you open the deck of cards,
Yeah.
there's a saying there that says, "It takes a
Oh!
village." And so that's
Wow.
what we're doing, is building the village of, like, how, there's an idea of, like, we need Discord, we need to organize, we need a information knowledge base that we got to put out there to help people and gather the problem sets and help navigate these problems. Because right now, as much as I'd love to help everyone, we can only help a few people.
Okay.
So how do you build a process to help as many people as possible?
Okay.
If it's just me, then it's kind of limited to my, whatever 60, 70 hours a week that I can push myself to. But if it's a bunch of us, if it's that village, so right now I'm basically designing what that looks like, how many people we're going to need to basically fulfill all these problem sets and get our eyes and ears around it. So that's the big goal for the year, is just establish ourselves, establish credibility, show people that we have a lot of amazing, incredibly talented, smart people that are super accomplished, and then start fixing problems. And then every time you fix a problem, you can talk about the problem that you fixed and the client, and then grow the base and grow the impact.
Gotcha. So now, what's one of, like, the most important case studies that you want Vivrato to be able to showcase to the entire gaming industry, even companies that may be, non-endemic, you know what I'm saying, like outside of the gaming industry and just entertainment as a whole? What's that one or two major case studies that we get this, we are on our way?
Well, I'd love the idea of, like, let's say a year from now, somebody wants to start a video game studio.
Okay.
Like, where do I start? Right now, they got to watch some YouTube videos. They got to call some people. They got to hit them up on LinkedIn. I'd love that they go to our website, the knowledge base, and they just open up a task list. Here's how I set up the company. Here's how I set up cash flow. Here's how I set the IP ownership. If you had a list of the 200 things you had to do to just start your company, because a lot of people, when they start a video game studio, they're actually building a game first and a company second. So oftentimes they don't think about it. They're not building a business, right? So if we can help empower them that they're building a business first and a game second, right? Then that will create more longevity and stability, because they'll understand what the fundamentals are of building a business. I think a lot of people that get into problematic territory just didn't plan for having and running a business, which is okay, right? The thing that I always joke that most studio heads have in common is none of them went to business school. So it's okay that they that they're having challenges and troubles, but there's knowledge out there. And so how can we create a support system so that way when people start something new, they have some mentorship or they have some knowledge base they can rely on to make it a clear and concise sort of crawl, walk, run phase forward.
That's crazy, bro. That's genius, because what you're doing is it's needed and it's mandatory, and your company can help prevent other companies from putting the cart before the horse. And I think that is the genius of your company, bro.
Well, on top of that, though, you got to think about it. Like, if you're growing up in Seattle, or you're growing up in LA or San Francisco or New York, like, there's developers around you. If you're growing up, I spent a lot of time traveling all around the world. If you're growing up in the Ukraine or in Poland, or I was just talking to some guys that or in South Africa and or in Colombia or Brazil or Ecuador. Like, you don't have that support system. You don't have access to that knowledge. And knowledge to me should be shared. Like, our games industry, when we started, it was bare knuckle boxing in the streets, right? It was super competitive, you know, Ed Boon and Ono-san are like, let's not talk to each other and stuff like that, right? That's how it was born. But we're at a place now where the industry is maturing, so we need to help each other. We should be helping each other and providing that information for free, right? Because that way we're creating access for emerging markets and people that would never have that information. Why shouldn't we be giving it to them for free? Right now, what I notice when I meet with people one-on-one, or I'm at a studio doing a sort of a jam session working on their strategy or their vision, oftentimes they're facing the exact same problem 80% of the other people are facing.
Wow.
But they're not talking about it, right? It's just like therapy or mental health, right? A lot of people don't talk about it. I love your message because you're always so supportive and so positive. And we need more of that. But oftentimes we're not talking about the problem set that we're facing, right?
Wow.
So as soon as you get in that quiet room, that's when people start to unlock a little bit. But let's be sharing more of that more broadly.
Wow. You know, I think one of the biggest problems is people don't want people to see them in a vulnerable state.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like in social media. You always want to show the good stuff off, but never want to show, you know, when you got cut.
The love handles.
You know, yo, spin the chain for the love handles. So you stupid. Yo. All right,
I got loaves of bread everywhere. I mean, I got a Costco
but see, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for, though, bro. That's what I'm here for.
I love it.
Yo, all right, so one thing I wanted to break down, which I think is so genius, and this is a suggestion, bro,
okay.
and I'm speaking from a creative standpoint.
Sure.
But if y'all actually like invested in having like some sort of Vivrato reality series where you actually have it where it's like you have a company and that company is open to being vulnerable publicly, and it's like episode 1, the business, or like, you know, whatever it is, and you literally take a real company that got the problems that you say that a lot of these companies have, and now the world could see step by step how you took this company from just trying to make a game to building a business to support the game they want to make. And now we all could tune in and watch it and see the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because the best way to teach somebody is to show them the opportunity to become wise so you can avoid certain mistakes. And we could all be smart about something by making a mistake and then learning from it. But we could be wise by avoiding it completely if we had a blueprint. I think your company is the blueprint for the next generation of this change. But if we had like a series, like a show, I ain't talking about just a podcast. I'm talking about like a reality type of show.
Sure.
Where let's say somebody is about to get fired or somebody's about to give up. Yo, I want to see all of it. I want to see those moments where you crying and you trying to figure it out and we muscle through that pain so we could get a working product. What is your thoughts on being that strategic, that vulnerable with your company to help somebody change their life? Because I think you're the Chef Ramsay of the game industry right now with this company. Talk to me, bro. I mean it, bro. Because
I like that. I like the idea.
Okay.
I really do. Like, I think the problem is when I think about the shows like this, like whether it's Bar Rescue or any of those, like, you know, Fixer Upper ones, it's part of it is sort of making fun of the people that are making things. And I think that's the part that I don't really rock with. Like, I don't want to be there dunking on teams that just, because again, it goes back to the thing I said earlier. They usually are in the situation not because they're bad.
Right.
They just don't know better. They don't know. They don't have the access to the information. So I love the idea of like learning through other people's mistakes. I think that's the thing sometimes when we go to any conference here and we see somebody do a great keynote to they're talking about the 5 great accomplishments. They're not talking about the trials and tribulations. They're not talking about how many times they fell down. They're not talking about their scars. They're not talking about how they blew their knee out, right? Like, I was so stressed out, dude. I got shingles at GDC.
What?
That happened to me. I know, shingles.
Yo, so, bro, that ain't no joke. I heard about what that does.
It's brutal. Luckily, I'm fine and I took medication pretty quickly. But like, I'm under so much stress that happened to me, and I thought it was a spider bite or something crazy on my forehead. So these are the things we don't talk about. And then when we talk about it, other people are like, what even are shingles? And I'm like, I didn't even know what they were because I've never had it before. So how do we like create better conversations around the problem set? So that when we, you know, I'll give you a great example. I was talking to someone recently, the Steam platform. Everyone puts a
Of
game on the Steam
course.
platform,
Yeah.
right? But what happens oftentimes is that if you release a game in China from a U.S. studio, a lot of times the Chinese player base doesn't rate the games on the same scale. They'll often demote a bunch of points from a game that's from a U.S. studio. So if your game releases in prime, so this happened to a studio where their game released in prime time in, it was very early. It was like 5 a.m. U.S. time. It was prime time in China. And the players started playing it, and the players started rating it and sort of rating against it. So they'll like drop it by 20 or 40 points. So by the time people wake up in the US and they start seeing the Steam rating, it's aggregated, right? So what you're supposed to do, what I didn't know this, is that you're supposed to release your game in like 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. China time. So that way it's not getting negatively impacted by this sort of like the Steam review bomb sort of thing that occurs. But that's a great example of like, I would have never known that. And
I
you
ain't
didn't
know
know
that,
that.
bro.
You didn't know, because no one knows that, because we don't share these things, because we don't know about how best practices are. We don't know that they don't review games as highly. And therefore, imagine a game comes out and it should be a 9, but it's a 6 because the averages are coming in because it was released in a different region and a lot of players start to play it. So like, these are things like little nuggets and stuff like that I've been uncovering on my new journey. If we could find a better way to share that information with everyone, then I think we'd be a more successful, industry.
Bro, I'm just kind of like
But that's a
blown
grain
away
of
by
sand.
what you
Think about that
just
grain of
said,
sand. That's
bro.
one grain of sand, and there's thousands of those insights and things that people don't know.
That is insane and mind blowing at the same time, bro. That's crazy. So I got a bunch of questions. So my next question to you when it comes to Vivrato, bro, let me just tell you something. This company is about to be big. I just want you to know, I don't think you realize how big this is going to be, because when you are a problem solver, and once you solve one, everybody's gonna want you to solve everything else. And that's why I asked you a question about the case study, because I already know what's gonna happen, bro, and I know you. So, I'm just excited. So now my question though, this right here is something interesting. So one of the things that you was talking about was a lot of companies, they make a game, but they don't know the business side. Now, I'm talent, but I'm also business too. I do a lot of big business on the back end as well. So one of the things that I always run into that game companies like fail at is like they put all their money, but everything into making a game and have nothing to support the game that's made, like financially.
Yeah.
So now they're like, what do we do? How do we support what we just, now you can't put placement here. It gets difficult, especially if you don't have the internal connections to just be able to have that media partner off the strength of who you are versus what you have to spend from a capital standpoint.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, when it comes to the business of reach and like the business of making sure people in the industry care about your game, to make sure that you can get that momentum of people looking for your game. Like they heard about it, now they're looking for it, now they want it, like that process. What's your suggestions there? Like how can Vivrato work there? Because when you look at a company like Exola, how they you could pitch a game, they take care of this, they take care of that, they do the payment system and all these other things. How can Vivrato be that other company that assists in the same way, or maybe even more different to help them out?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is best practices of like, what is the best practice? Because the problem is that every time, it's funny, a lot of people want to be prescriptive. Say you have to have a marketing budget of 20 to 50% of your dev budget. So if your game costs $100 million to make, you should be spending between $20 and $50 million of marketing, right? But that's sort of a very old school philosophy. And then you have other companies that are like, well, we did it with less and we still had success. Or other companies that are like, I did nothing. Balatro, like how much did he spend on marketing, and it just sort of became a thing. Schedule One, I didn't see any ads on Steam for that. It was just a game that started picking up and moving and shaking. So the challenge, I think, with any of this stuff is you can have a plan that you think is solid, but as the player base and the fans change and evolve, and I think nowadays, I mean, if we look back, it's so funny. I was at Greg Miller did an awesome. He did a
shout out to my man G.
So he did. He was at Benedictine University last night here in Chicago and did a whole talk. It was fascinating to look at his evolution. And it's like, at the start, he thought it was going to be this, and then kind of funny, and what he did sort of evolved over time. But if you would have said you have to this, that in that order, it changes, right? Back when he was at IGN, you and I both know that we went to 5 websites to get our information.
Right.
Now
Right.
there's millions of sources. I've got a TikTok feed, or I've got this, or my friend tweeted me that, or blue skied me this, or threads me that, or whatever it is. And so I think it's very difficult to sit there. And so our best, the thing that we try to do with our partners is basically walking through like the optionality. Like, what's important to you? Is it getting influencers? Is it getting eyeballs? Is it getting other creators? Is it getting click through marketing? Because there's so many different avenues you can pursue. But I think you're absolutely right that a lot of times they just pour all their heart and soul and money into the game. At the end, they're like, "Hey, can you help me?" It's like
Right.
alms for the poor, and you're like, well, you got to make a living too, right?
Yo, oh my gosh, bro, and that's exactly to the T. But what hurts the most when I see that is like you got something so amazing and you can't even support how amazing it is, and that is just like the biggest shot to the foot. Like, you know what I'm saying, bro? So now I gotta ask you a major question, because what I want to do, especially with this interview, I want to position Vivrato as like the answer to what the game industry can be like in the future. You know what I'm saying? So let's set it off. So I got a series of questions I'm gonna throw at you right now.
Fire.
So the Nintendo Switch 2 is announced. People playing it. Everything is crazy. Oh,
Right there.
You got Samus on
hyped.
there,
Got
son. Metroid all day.
Yeah.
Let's
Got
get
my Metroid hoodie
see.
on just for that, for the Switch 2 question. I knew that was coming.
Yeah, let's go. So Switch 2, right? It's coming out in June and stuff like that. I saw Mario Kart World. I saw Donkey Kong. I'm getting everything day one. You know how I do. I play everything. At the same time, you see the backlash too with the prices and everything like that. But also, you know, the same thing that Don Matrick had said once upon a time. The same thing that I think Ken Kutaragi has said once upon a time during the PS3 era. And now we got my man Doug Bowser saying a similar thing where it's like, get the Switch 1, you know, if the Switch 2 is, you know, can't afford it and stuff like that. We've seen a pattern on how that, even though it may be true, it may not be the right thing or the right way to say that from a marketing standpoint. My question to you is, as Vivrato, like this company, if Nintendo came to you, or if you approached Nintendo and said, hey, I see what's going on in the community. I think if we went about things a certain way going forward to kind of either salvage what's going on or have a better way of rolling out certain things, how would you utilize your company, Vivrato, to assist Nintendo Switch 2 right now with their launch plans going forward? Because a lot of the talk right now is that Switch 2 is going to be great, but it's not going to be as successful as Switch 1. That's what the energy is like right now. And we've seen Wii U.
Right.
Switch, it looked like it may be a repeat. Like, you know what I mean? So what's your thoughts on that to prevent history from repeating itself in that scenario? How can Vivrato solve this problem?
It's a super complicated question.
I know it is.
I love these kind of things. No, because you're talking about a multitude of things. You're talking about macroeconomic impact of how much it is to manufacture things these days. But I'd like to go back to, like, if we just think about a few things, right? We think about the cell phone that we bought, that we're buying once a year, every 2 years or 3 years, that costs how much money? Anywhere between
thousands,
$500 and $1,500, right? And yes, it's a utility. We think about the PC, the PCs, the hefty PCs we're buying for maybe $3,000 or $4,000, right? And we're buying those every 5 or 6 years, depending, right? Some people wait longer. So I think it's really difficult because you can be declarative at different household income levels. You can say, hey, this amount of money is too much for a game, or this amount of money is too much for a console. But then you also look at the amount of spend happening in the industry. You have to look at developers' wages are going up, right? So there's a lot of different things at play. It's fascinating you mentioned this, because there's been so many sort of micro conversations. To some people going back, like, okay, if you're gonna play Mario Kart, how long? I got a question for you. How long are you gonna play it for?
Oh, you asking me?
Yeah.
I play countless
100,
hours, man.
100, 200 hours?
Yeah,
100
wait,
hours?
probably more than that. Because see, for me, I love that you threw that question back at me, because what I tell people, if I could buy a game for $80, I could buy a game for $100, but if I get $100 of value out of it because I love this game, then it would suffice for me.
Right.
But if I only think about me in the situation, but I have a business that serves a multitude of people.
Sure.
It's a selfish way of looking at it if I only look at me.
Yeah.
So I understand like both points, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, no. So I mean, that's the thing. So if it's 100 hours for you, maybe it's 200 hours for you, which would be 40 cents an hour is what you're paying. If you're thinking about that, like 40 cents an hour if you're putting 200 hours in. It's 80 cents an hour if you're putting in 100 hours. If you only put it for 50 hours, it's $1.60 an hour. So let's look at a movie, right? A movie's gonna be 2 hours of entertainment for what? $15 for you to go see it.
Yeah.
How much is the nowadays? You know, how much is a Starbucks with all your bells and whistles? Is it $9?
Nowadays
$12?
it's $9 to
Right,
$12.
Right, and that's for 45-minute drink. So if you think about it through that lens, it's still a good deal. Now, I say that knowing full well that there's a massive amount of people in this world that can't afford an $80 piece of software. Maybe their family saved up for 4 $60 games previously, and maybe they can only afford now 2 $80 games, right? So my heart goes out for people at different income levels that can't afford that stuff. That really, really sucks. You really want to find games that you and your family can enjoy over and over again.
Right.
But if we look at the downstream impact of a higher price, it means that the developers can make a better living, which means that more content can be made and these bigger companies become healthier. So it's kind of like, it's tough though, because there's always somebody that basically has to take a bit of the L, right?
Yeah.
And right now, I think people's perception is it's the player. But I think it's pretty bold for Nintendo to say, hey, listen, we haven't changed the price. If we look back when I was a kid, right, SNES games were $90 or 100 Canadian.
Don't
right?
talk about Neo Geo. Don't even talk about Neo Geo, bro.
3DO,
Oh my gosh.
3D, the 3DO games, right? Those are like, so we think about when I was growing up, my first job, I was making $5.50 Canadian an hour, which is about $3.75 American. Okay.
Wow.
What's the minimum wage right now in most states? $15.
Yeah.
Right. So it's 5x, let's say roughly, or let's say just say 4x for easy math. When I was a kid, buying a game was like $60.
Yep.
Why isn't it $300, which would be 5x? Or why isn't it $240, which would be 4x? Cars, when I was a kid, we bought a car. My parents bought a brand new car. It was $10,000.
Right.
Brand new cars now are $40,000 to $50,000.
Right.
So if you think about like those kind of things, and again, I'm not trying to convince any viewer right now watching that I'm right and they're wrong, because the challenge with any of these conversations, everyone's allowed to have their feelings.
Yes.
Everyone is. And we have to accept that, acknowledge that. But sometimes I think we think about it, right? We think about it differently. I have no problem plopping down a monthly fee for a Netflix or an HBO when maybe I only watch 2 hours of shows, but I just spent $16.
Right.
Whereas like now on the other side, I'm spending $80 and I'm getting 100 hours of entertainment. So it's tough, man. So, you know, going back to what would my role be? Every company has a bunch of really smart people. I know I was at PlayStation, a bunch of really super smart people trying to figure this out with all the information they have, all the challenges they're facing across the ecosystem and the industry and the global marketplace. I mean, right now it's kind of chaos in the stock markets and stuff like that because it's hard to predict. But, you know, just bringing strategy and thoughtfulness, and I think they're trying, and they're all trying their damnedest, and I think they're all doing a really good job. But people are never going to be happy with any new decision, right?
And that was the punchline right there. When you said that people never gonna be happy, no matter what you do, you could do 99 things right, and the one thing that you did, it's like you never did nothing. So that's why I wanted to bring this up, because I want people to see how versatile Vivrato is and the importance of Vivrato from start to finish across the board of how you build your business in the gaming industry. So that's why I want to ask you these questions. So now, another thing I wanted to bring up to you. Do you think that this could potentially lead to Nintendo Switch 2 also giving it a test run to put their games on PC? We already see the mouse functionality with their the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Like, I think it'd be insane and stuff like that. And I already spoke about this years ago. But my question to you is, do you believe that Nintendo will find success in the PC world, just like how PlayStation has and obviously Xbox has? What are your thoughts on that? And then we'll move on to something else.
Sure. You know, it's a great one. Like looking in the crystal ball of like, what does the future look like? I think if we go back to the origin, what I've always loved about Nintendo is they're so Nintendo.
Nintendo is so Nintendo. Right? I had to spin a chain on that.
Right.
So crazy.
I remember the old console wars, right? Sega does what Nintendo don't. But I
I
love
love that. I loved it.
but what I love is they're so clear in their vision of what they're trying to do, and they're trying to create incredible IPs and experiences that just really elevate their platform. Can they go to PC in the future? Maybe. Is it in their best interest? If I think about them like Disney,
Mm.
right? Disney, I think they're cousins in a spiritual sort of manner of like it's about that ecosystem, right? I kind of see the Switch and the Wii and the history of their consoles being like Disneyland or Disney World, right? Where they like to
Wow.
have their stuff only in that realm.
Yeah.
And then everywhere else, it's like, oh, we can do different merchandise or we can do shirts or hoodies and stuff like that. So I would be surprised if they ever went off console personally. That's just from because it just feels like it's their ecosystem, it's their world. But dude, I think that the new generation of players wants access to everything everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
Their
Yes.
their
Yes.
their brand affinity and their loyalty to brands, I think it's gonna be way different. I don't like, when we were kids, you had I was an Adidas kid, there was Nike kids, there
Yep.
was
Yep.
and now it's like, my son's got New Balance Sauconys, he's got his Nikes, he's got a little bit of everything, and it doesn't matter as much to him.
Right.
So
Interesting.
but I honestly think, I don't know, I don't think there's a lot of incentive for them to go outside. They're doing well.
Okay.
They're crushing it. They're making awesome stuff. And so, like, if it ain't broke,
Don't fix it.
right?
Got you, bro. That's major, man. So now, this is a major question, like with Vivrato and stuff like that. So, I'm not sure what like your raise was from a standpoint of capital and stuff like that to be able to start and launch this business and stuff like that. But what what does Vivrato continually needs in order to grow and scale the company so you can accomplish the goal of changing the narrative of the industry and how it operates? Because you're right, there is a lot of things that people just don't know. There's
Yeah.
so much out there, and a lot of times people just want to outsource because they don't want to have to deal with this stuff. So hey, look, let's just hire Vivrato and y'all just take care of this part, and then we just do what we're good at, and boom, we make it work. So what do you need where you're at right now? Because I believe that and remember, I'm also on the New York Stock Exchange, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like in the heart of Wall Street as well. Just to let you know, I'm the first gamer to ever bring gaming to the Wall Street.
Amazing.
So I'm telling you right now, even for my Wall Street audience, I would love for them to hear more about your position and things that you may need, because that's what I think the problem is. I think too many companies and too many people try to just do things themselves.
Yeah.
And when you do it like that, there's a lot of things you're not gonna know. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So the nature of your company is designed for more people to know. So you're open, like to the help to grow. What do you need right now to continue to scale what you're trying to accomplish?
I need you. I mean, this experience right now, like getting the word out of the challenge set in the games industry, and that it's solvable, right? Nothing that we're facing as an industry is invincibility, or it's all solvable. And having platforms like that you have, and being on podcasts and talking to people about the problem set, for us to understand that there is a path forward. And it goes back to that, it takes a village. Like, I feel really deeply right now that our industry is being hijacked.
Wow.
And the hijackers are on the train and they're stealing our stuff. And a lot of people are kind of sitting on their hands being like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, no, what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to navigate the next phase of our industry together.
Okay.
Right? When you talk about Wall Street, I mean, our games industry now is basically 30, 35, 40 years old now. So we're in this maturation phase. So a couple of things are happening when an industry gets mature. Number one is private equity comes in, right? And for those viewers at home that don't understand what private equity is they're companies that basically buy a bunch of assets being companies that they know can deliver a nice return each year, right? So when you put your you have your savings account, you're getting 0.049% or whatever. But if you bought a CD or something like that at your bank, you're going to get maybe 4% return. What these private equity firms want is they want businesses that can earn them sort of between 15 and 20% year over year. Nice growing business that outpaces the market, right? If we look at the average of the market over the last 80 years, it sort of goes up of 2 to 5 points year over year. So they want to build something that outpaces that.
Okay.
So when they come to an industry, it means the industry is maturing. It's also why our industry is turning to a lot of big consultancies like Deloitte and Ernst & Young and
Mm.
PwC and McKinsey and Bain and Boston Consulting Group. It's not because our leadership in the games industry doesn't know what they're doing. It's because when the industry matures and you're publicly traded, you have to do what's right for your stockholders, right? So you don't really own the company anymore. The Wall Street owns the company in many ways. So you have to evolve the way in which you're approaching things. Now, I think there's a better way. If we look at the history, I think a lot of times their advice is sell more units and cut your costs.
Okay.
Which means crank up the price of something and fire people, because usually the number one cost center in a company is the salary of employees, which you and I both know isn't the best way to sort of create longevity. And that's what we go back to Nintendo. They've done a phenomenal job over many, many years to manage cash flow and also they don't do massive layoffs.
Yeah,
right?
Incredible job. Like, dog,
Right.
That's an understatement. Like, they really did amazing. So that was
because it's part of their design, right? They're actively designed it like that. So I think thing one is basically more awareness that there is different solutions to these problems that isn't about just chopping and cutting. Because what happens usually when they're making reductions, what do they cut first? Prototypes, R&D, new game teams, like they're all the heart and soul stuff. And they're saying, hey, instead, let's invest more in getting more money out of every player that we have in the ecosystem.
amazing.
So we can have a better mindful approach, because the goal should be for us to create a healthier industry with more longevity and stability, right? We don't want these studios to close. We want them to be options for them to self-fund. And if we get overly reliant on one company or two companies or three companies that are spending all the money, then that's when the balance changes. So I think it's time for us to take the power back. And I really feel like the future of our industry is modular. So how do we create, instead of these big monolithic companies that are like, 5,000, 10,000 people? I bet if we bring a bunch of people together that are different groups of people to collaborate, I think that's a way for us to sort of navigate through these changing times.
Yo, and you're right. I'm gonna tell you why you're right. Especially like in this day and age with AI being like a good tool to use. I'm not saying replace somebody. I'm just saying a good tool to use. That was literally gonna be my next question, bro. So from the standpoint of Vivrato, like, have you thought about or even potentially had conversations with like Microsoft saying like, yo, I know y'all pushing Copilot in a big way. You look at Razer and Nvidia with their AI assistants in esports and all types of stuff that they're doing. Do you think Vivrato could also develop into its own like AI, so that it's like a kind of like an API that's inserted, or something that every gaming company has at their facility, so when they're making a game and trying to build out the business, there's a Vivrato agent that's there to help them along the way. So no matter what company or what it is, you created an ecosystem that by default everyone can have their own Vivrato person along the way. So all the knowledge that you have and the things that you know now that you didn't know before, everyone can know, and it can be dispersed in scale, leveraging AI and technology to be able to not just be so condensed as a company and move case by case, but now you can move collectively as one and raise the tide of all boats at the same time. Have you had those conversations, and is your company prepared for that digital move like that?
I love that idea, honestly. And I've been talking to some people about it that are like, I was talking to one person that basically is building a language model around their knowledge set. So they basically interviewed themselves for 150 hours and took the transcript and put it into the agent to sort of to hand it off to them. But I mean, nowadays you could take, if you think about every podcast you've ever done, you could, every interview you've ever done, you could basically export transcripts, and then you could have your own HipHopGamer, bot that is basically like all of speaks like you, emotes like you and stuff like that. I love that idea, because that, again, it creates access to information and knowledge. Like when we think about all the people that have retired in the games industry in the past 20 years, all they're doing is they're walking off the field. Right. But we have, unlike the olden days with sports, right, we can't capture their energy and basically transfer, Wayne Gretzky's slap shot to Ovechkin, even though, I mean, he just beat his record. But like, we can with knowledge. We can transfer that stuff. So I love that idea. I think it's super smart to put all that information together. The challenge is always with proprietary information, right? You can't put in the sales data for a private company into a language model that everyone has access to. So you have to basically sort of genericize the information first, so that way no one's getting access to like how many sales units did this sell.
Directly. Yeah.
But I love that idea, and I'm a big believer in it. I think with transcriptions and interviews and capturing that information, the knowledge, the context, because sometimes when you ask any LLM a question, you might get something that's a bit nuanced. But I love the idea of having one that's all about video game, and that's kind of when I talk about the knowledge base. I think that's what it sort of conforms to, right? Something that is better than just Google search or wiki, towards that sort of agentic model, which is I think super cool. I think the one thing though about AI that so many people that are watching this right now are thinking is sounds like crazy future. Like you've used it before, right? You've used it.
I spoke with so when I was at CES, right?
Yeah.
AMD, they had a AI there, and I asked the AI, I said, "Do you know who HipHopGamer is?" Let me tell you the scary thing. Not only did they know who I was, but the stuff that they said, the way that they said it, what they knew, I was like, wait a minute, nah, bro. Like, I don't know whether to be that excited because of how well they represented me, or to be like, was you at my house? Like you said, it was that good. No, bro. It was amazing, immaculate. So I'm excited for it too. And just having this conversation with you, I was just thinking, if seeing how these AI agents and things of that nature is performing, bro, Vivrato could be literally everywhere right now, bro. Like right now. Like I'm not even joking. All the knowledge and the stuff, like what you told me earlier about the data in China and Steam and all this other stuff, bro. That could literally be information. But let me tell you how it is. I'm talking about not just asking and then having them respond. I'm talking about if you're about to, let's say you're about to load your game up and launch it, and the AI says, wait, don't do that, because if you do it, it will do blah, 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 blah. So now it's actually preventing you from making a mistake according to the data you already showed it in terms of what you want your results to be.
Yeah.
So think about that level.
I love that idea.
Bro, y'all are about to, do you know how much you about to blow up right now, son? Like, this is crazy, bro. So now another question that I have for you with Vivrato is, and shout out to my partners over at Noodle House. Noodle House is one of the companies, they've been working with Epic Games for like 15 years and stuff like that, and they build Fortnite levels and stuff like that. So my question to you is, when you look at a game like Astrobot and how is designed around that PlayStation love and family and stuff like that, even the newly announced Nintendo Switch manual, like, instruction manual game and stuff like that, have you thought about gamifying the company Vivrato, where people could like go inside a Fortnite level or go inside some sort of level and play what they don't know? You know what I'm saying? Where they can learn what they don't know through play, because you have a lot of people, like you said, they so focused on the development of the game. So use what they know to find out what they don't know. Bro, I think that would, you need to hire me, bro. What are you doing, son? You need to bring me on your team, son. Stop fronting on me right now, bro. You know I'm the GOAT, bro.
I know. I was asking ChatGPT over here, what's the coolest known fact about HipHopGamer? And here's what it told me. It said he was introduced to video games by his grandmother, Margaret Williams, affectionately known as Hip Hop Granny. She used gaming as a means to keep him safe and engaged indoors, away from his challenging streets of Brooklyn. It goes on and on, but like, I love that stuff. So that's a little bit of going into your brain, man.
Oh, man, bro. This is amazing. But yeah, I think Vivrato needs to have his own level, like in a game or something like that.
Here's the thing, though. I think, and this is it's so funny when I was mentioning the Greg Miller talk last night. Somebody asked him, like, what can developers tell players to help them understand the nuances of making games? And I think the best answer is it isn't pretty. Like it's like going into a sausage factory and like, oh, they grind up this and it's this and you set this machine. Like the moment to moment, you have to do it because you love the game. You're in the love of the game, right? But it's not. Man. I don't know. I mean, there's parts of it that's just super fun and engaging, but like, I don't think playing a game developer for 4 years and then your game comes out and then gets canceled, maybe like, and your heart gets broken, or 3 of your games get canceled and you basically spend 10 years not shipping a game. That stuff is less interesting. But I do like the idea of creating more context and understanding.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we're trying to do. If I think about, a lot of times I'll meet with a developer and like, I want to get investment. I want to talk to a publisher, or I want to maybe get a Game Pass deal, or I want to talk to a venture capital investor, or I want to talk to a private equity investor. And they'll make one presentation. The problem is they just rattled off 4 different types of people that fund differently and think differently. But a developer thinks about this. They think food goes in here. Right. I need to eat, right? So I need money. Please give me money. They don't often put themselves in the other person's shoes, right? It's just like anything in life. To truly connect with someone and to truly make a good partnership or deal, you have to understand where they're coming from. Walk a mile in their shoes. I had a boss early in my career, and he rolled out this whole new process, and everyone's complaining about the process. And he goes, pretend it's like the sweater grandma just knit for you at Christmas. I want you to wear it every day for 1 month and pretend like you like it. Just wear it and go on the journey. And I think if we did more of that with each other, not just in video games, but in life, with politics, like if we just throw away the headlines and the BS and just, I want to put on your shirt. I mean, it would be pretty tight, right? With your huge guns, but like, mine would be, you'd be swimming in my Metroid hoodie here, right? but you get to connect with people and really understand where they come from. And I think our world and our ecosystem and our industry would be a lot happier and healthier if we did a little bit more of that.
Nah, absolutely, man. So I got a couple more questions, bro, and I'm gonna let you go. Now, my next question, this is Hot 97. You know what I'm saying? So you know we gotta talk some hip hop. I can't let you go without talking some hip hop, bro. Yeah. So like, with what Vivrato is at the core of what this company is and what it does, what hip hop artist you feel, whether it's a song or an artist, but what is that moment in hip hop that you feel embodies what Vivrato is trying to do, trying to be, in terms of changing the narrative of this industry as a whole, bro? Break it down for me.
We have an exclusive, Hot 97 exclusive. I originally wanted to call it Vibrant.
Stop playing!
I swear to God.
Stop playing with me.
Vibrant thing by Q-Tip.
Exclusive.
And the website was going to be $75,000 to buy Vibrant.com. And I was like, well, why do I love that word? And I love it because it means vivacious. It means vibrant. It means, it's just like, it means vibe. I mean, there's so many things that mean it. And that song is just like, I've played that song tens of thousands of times in my life. And I just, every time that beat, Q-Tip's flow, every part of it is just puts me in a place that I'm just like, this is just life. Like, this is perfection. And so that was actually the very first inspiration, much like Iron Galaxy was based after Cannibal Ox's song. I wanted to, it's a love letter to Q-Tip and that vibe and that word and the meaning and feeling of what hip hop means to me.
Wow, bro. That was crazy, bro. Yo, I'm going to holler at my man, and I'll be like, yo, I need you to get this clip to Q-Tip. He needs to see this. He needs to hear that. He needs to feel that. Because a lot of people don't even realize the impact that they're having. They just making. Yeah. But that's why I said what I said in the very beginning of this interview, that statement that I said to you, because I want you to understand that while you in the trenches, bro, just making and making and making, I don't think you always fully understand the impact you're having on people, especially myself. And that's another problem too. A lot of times people are so in the trenches that they never even get a chance to see how great they are. And sometimes they're never even told or shown. They just moving and moving and moving until they're gone. So, man, just like how you did for Q-Tip just now, that's you for us, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's you for us, bro. So,
well, I think there's meaning, like when it means something to you, it comes through. Like when I look at the whole entire, and now I'm going to nerd out about like the whole logo. So I grew up outside of Vancouver and Abbotsford, and the Vancouver Canucks are my favorite team. So back in the 70s, they had a V that fits perfectly into my logo.
Wow.
And it's
are you talking about I could be wrong, but do you remember that TV show a long time ago called V? There was a TV show called V.
I remember that one
It was a long time
with
ago.
the 8 and the rats.
Yes. Oh my, yo.
But it's
man.
also, I think the other part of it is the peaks and valleys, right? The peaks of life and the valleys of life, and splitting the, you know, splitting the ocean, and
Yeah.
two V's make a W for Chicago and a win. And there's just a
Yeah.
lot of things that when I think about how you build brands and how you sort of like celebrate your own heritage and history.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, Q-Tip's a big part of my origin story.
Wow, that is huge, man. I gotta make sure he sees this clip. Yo, this is crazy. We gonna blow this up, bro, for real. And I'm gonna try to, I'm gonna try to get him to make mention of your company.
Let's go.
For real, I think that would be really cool. You know, I got access to everybody, so I'll make this work. So now another thing I wanted to say is at Dice, you know, one of the greats, you know, Ted Price. You know what I'm saying? You know, walked away from the game. You know what I'm saying? He probably at home right now just playing stuff. And like, I don't want to hear nothing about what you're making. I just want to play the game. Like, that's it. But my question to you is, what was that moment like for you to see Ted Price, you know, retire, especially in the fashion that he retired? Because looking at how he is, how he was, how he ran a company and stuff like that, and seeing you in that same light, I feel the same way when I see you, bro, in that same light. So my thing is, I know every 4 years you're always making and doing all these other things, but seeing Ted Price retire, what did that do for you? And if you ever was to retire, what is one thing you want to see how like the industry be left as once you leave it?
I'll tell you a story about Ted. I was when I was announcing Vivrato, I wanted it to be at a talk at a conference, and so I ended up messaging a bunch of people with a personal video message. And one of the people I sent the video message to was Ted Price.
Wow.
And he responded within, you know, I knew him for the PlayStation. Of course, I looked up to him my entire career.
Wow.
But you know what he did? He responded within an hour. He's like, Adam, I want to do a call. So we hop on a call. And he said to me, he goes, no one's ever sent me a personal video message in my entire life. And I was like, because I remember sending it to him, I'm like, what would I want? How do I get Ted Price's attention? I want to tell him a story about how much he means to me. And so, and I did that. After I finished Spider-Man 1, I wrote Ted a letter about what the game meant to me. And the same thing after Miles Morales, and the same thing after Spider-Man 2. It was just a personal letter. And I often do this when I finish a game. It really moves me. Like I remember in Spider-Man 2, playing the experience as a deaf girl that I would never like I was moved so deeply by that experience, because games oftentimes will sort of trick you to do things that you don't want to do, but sometimes it hits you right in the feels when you get to experience something you would never experience regularly. And so he was so kind every time I sent him his flowers, and he was so appreciative that I think what I learned, and the bad news coming out of Dice is I lost a really good friend of mine, Carter Lipscomb, who is one of the GOATs too. He was that's our boy right there.
Wow.
Carter
God
was
bless him.
Yeah, Carter was in the games industry for over 35 years, and one of the nicest, kindest guys. And his motto was be pleasant and be present. And the way that Carter conducted himself was a lot like Ted does as well, which is like always being positive and supportive and paying it forward. And the thing that I realized coming out of these shows is sometimes it's easy to be, you know, the finger gun, razzle dazzle and running around. But the human connections we're making along our journey, and what I've always loved our friendship, is like it always feels like an old soul, like a brother from another mother. We get to hang out and spend time together. And that's to me what this is all about, right? Video games is the table that we sit at, but it's about the people around the table, right? We're celebrating and experiencing things together. And that's what I learned from Ted. And I think that's what I hope to pass on, is that to always pay it forward with giving access to people, spending time with people, and paying for the time and attention and support and positivity, because I think a lot of people are inspired by what you do every day too. You know, you're a GOAT in your field too. People look up to you every day. And I mean, I see that everyone trying to do selfies with you every time you walk around. You're trying to do selfies with other people. It's like this whole like Katamari Damacy of selfies.
I've been having a ball, man. I'm telling you, man. Hey, yo, man. First of all, you know, like, sorry, you know, like for your loss with your friend, bro. That's crazy right there. And the way it's moments like these that I want to shine more in the industry. And that's why, bro, when I read up on the company, I was like, I got to talk to my brother. Like, because I don't think so let me explain something to you. when I first came into the industry professionally in 2008, my brother Torrance Davis, he's the one that gave me a shot to put my content on his website, and he offered me to go to E3 in 2008, right?
Wow.
And when I got the E3, I ain't gonna front, man. Like, I was met with a lot of unkindly situations and people and stuff like that.
Really?
And it blew me away because I thought we was all here for the same thing. Like
Yeah.
games and stuff like that. I'm telling everybody about my grandmas, we bugging out. This is
Yeah.
my grandmother was alive. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we wilding out. And then
I remember I was at Capcom at the time. And
Yeah,
I think
he's
you
at
came by
Capcom,
and you were,
yeah.
you were playing Street Fighter Ichi Remix and Puzzle Fighter, I think.
Yeah, Puzzle Fight. Yo, and you know, like, and this is my first time here. So I'm seeing all y'all. I'm like, yo, this is how I am, bro. Like, for real, bro.
Yeah.
I would go to church and be lit. Like, yo, what up, Pastor? What's popping? Like, you know, that's me. And I started to see like some people like really, really, really embrace me. And like people like yourself, my man Justin Barabon, Michael Pachter, and like, you know, there's so many people I can name, man. It's crazy. When I seen that, I was like, yo, they made me feel like I belong here. So even some of the situations and people that I ran into that made me feel like I didn't belong, meeting people like yourself, yo, y'all really, really made me feel at home in a moment where I felt like I was very in like a foreign place because of certain people that in certain situations that I ran into out the gate. Because you got to understand, bro, like, just keeping it real, you got this dude that's mad hype, got this big belt on, running around this that, talking like, yo, what up, like, yo, you know, this is not what you saw in the game industry, especially back in 2008. But y'all,
I remember Jeff Gerstmann was the biggest fan.
Jeff Gerstmann, yeah, I love Jeff, man. That's my brother for life. Oh my God. But that's what I'm saying. Not everybody had his like energy towards me. So my thing is, like, when y'all did that, y'all don't understand what y'all really did. Because my grandmother, as much as she loved everything I was doing, she still had the play it safe mindset where it's like, you know, just get a city job and, you know, be okay. And, you know, because she cares, you know. And when I came home and I told my grandmother about my experience and stuff like that, I was able to share with her so many amazing things. And one of those reasons was because of people like you, man. So, bro, you literally, I stand here in front of you also because of you too. You know what I mean? So just thank you. I mean it. I want everybody to really lock in to Vivrato, like now, like ASAP, because it's more than a company. You know what I'm saying? It's literally the heartbeat of the change we need to see in the culture that we grew up to love. And that's why you need to support Vivrato. So is there anything, you know, last words you want to share with the audience, Adam, that you want people to really, really understand and be consistent with, so we could put you where you need to be, bro, and celebrate you and celebrate the change to come to make the industry better? Anything you want to share, bro?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just to lead with kindness, you know, and compassion when you deal with other people. If you're a fan of something, give people their flowers. We talked about this at the top of the call.
Yeah.
I'm like, the more you can be complimentary, you know, I was talking about Carter earlier, but like being more Carter in my life is a big motto now of how do I pay that forward? How do I just be kind and be more understanding? If you're in the games industry and you're more curious about what we do, you know, we've got the website, vivrato.com, but you can also message me on LinkedIn. I've been doing amazing chats and video conferences with a ton of different people. But yeah, it's just like this too shall pass. You know, we're in a bit of a challenging time in the industry, but we're going to get through it. Because at its core, we do this for each other. It is about the art. It is about the culture. It's about the love for the game. And, you know, we just have to stick together and we can navigate this. You know, it's going to be tough and it's not going to be perfect. But as long as we stick together and we keep supporting the things that need supporting, then, you know, we'll be in a better place.
Absolutely. And for the final question, man, I need to ask you, what's the game you playing right now that you're so excited for? You know what I'm saying? Like the game that got you going crazy right now. Second, what's your most anticipated game that's coming out, that's not out yet, that's coming out that you're looking forward to?
Yeah.
And three, what's a game that we don't know about but if you could give a slight description of what we may be in for, it like even if it's a secret, but if you could give a little piece of something that could just get everybody hyped for what's to come. Yeah, and then
Okay.
we'll end it like that.
In order. The first one is I'm flying tomorrow to Europe for 2 weeks, and I've loaded up my Steam Deck.
Oh,
Schedule
one.
I'm how long? I'm 47 hours in so far. I got an
47 and a half
operation.
hours you going
I got
in,
an operation going. I got my squad. That's my guilty pleasure.
I love it, man.
I'm most hyped. I gotta be, man. I'm always been such a GTA stan. GTA 6.
Bro.
That is.
Bro.
I cannot wait. I got RIP. I got to take 3 days off and just can't
everybody
wait for that.
It should. Do you agree that Grand Theft Auto should be a national holiday?
100%.
Because nobody's going to work, bro. Listen,
100%.
there's people that I spoke to already, and I'm talking about like executive level people. Like in every area, everybody already have a plan. Like, bro, I've never seen this level of unity in a long time where everybody is set up that whatever the day is, I'm going to be sick this day. I'm telling you right now, I'm already sick. This is, bro, Adam, it's about to get crazy, bro.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild for sure.
I can't wait.
And then upcoming stuff. I mean, what I love about my new job is I get to see so many cool things. I mean, at PlayStation, obviously, I got to see tons of stuff too. But just the innovation keeps coming. People are still making cool things that shock and surprise me and impress me. And I love that. I love that even though I've been in the game for 29 years, I still get surprised and delighted every single week. So I'm just excited. I think the future is brighter than ever before. We got to get through these challenging times. And the next generation of gaming and content is going to blow people's minds.
Ooh, I can't wait. I'm so hyped, bro. I can't wait either. So listen, y'all. Once again, another major heavy hitter of an interview. I want to personally once again thank my brother Adam Boys, man. This dude is an icon in our industry. So to be able to speak to him, to be able to see him, to see that smile, you know what I'm saying? I need my hug when I see you. I need my hug.
Yeah.
I got to get my big hug. But this dude right here, man, he's one of the GOATs and he's one of the greats. I honor you, bro. I thank you. Everybody, make sure y'all lock in with Vivrato. Let's all come together to collectively help support this man's dream, which turns into our enjoyment and our pleasure as well. Love you, my brother. On that note, you rocking with the GOAT of the game, HipHopGamer, on your Hot 9-7 every day. That's my word. Yeah. And we out of here, baby.
You're the best.
Peace.